Hey guys, just wanted to do my review and breakdown for Supergirl Season 3, Episode 16, Up to Mines. So this episode continues right where Episode 15 left off, the ending of it, in which birds were falling from the sky, and there was a sign that pestilence was active and in the area. The third world killer that I guess Supergirl and the DEO and the Legion are trying to look for, especially since the latter says that pestilence eventually evolves into the blight and basically is responsible for a lot of death and destruction in the future. Um, of course, against Mon-El and Kara's wishes, especially since Mon-El formed the Legion based on principles set by Supergirl, that Brainiac 5 and Emra just want to kill Pestilence because of the threat she poses in the future, which basically brings, especially brings Emra and Kara into conflict about, the conflicting ideologies they have about, trying to stick to their principles and whether it's worth standing by their principles, just if it, at the expense of people's lives. They have this thing where apparently Jesse Rath, the person who plays Brainiac, he only briefly shows up in makeup, but he spends most of the episode without makeup just because he says like, "Oh, I had to go to the store and I had to use some kind of image inducer." I guess kind of similar to what HR used in the Flash season 3 to kind of conceal that he didn't look. He wasn't like he looked like an alien or an alien cyborg or whatever he's supposed to be. But I guess this is basically the fact that, they just want to, I guess, like save money or save time from the actor having to spend so much time in the makeup chair. And probably in response to the fact that that people didn't necessarily like, at least like him, like having like the Doc Brown hair. So, you have like Monel kind of pissed about being lied to about the extent of their mission. Um, when thinks they have a lead on who the human identity of Pestilence is, but all they find is a corpse, Kira and Emra, and Emra apparently went to the location without telling the DEO, and he says that everything that the DEO knows, Brainiac knows and passes that on to me, and but it somehow it always seems to the symptoms of pestilence infection are somebody starts having a bloody nose, they start to pass out, they start to like you know fall onto the floor, and then they get ill, they have like a scratch mark on their hand, both of which happens to Win and Alex, and the former showing how Jeremy Jordan is probably one of the best actors on the show, and like having this kind of like heart to heart scene with James Olsen where he's talking about how he just made amends with his mom and how he's how he felt like I guess either being on his deathbed or just facing death. It feels like you know I guess like or I guess like making peace with his mom, realizing that was a source of a lot of his issues, arguably more so than his issues with his criminal father. It just made him like get the sense of like accomplish, a weight was lifted off his shoulders and made him feel like, oh, I can do anything, and accomplish all these different goals in his life. And now he's just sad and that he feels like, oh, I'm on my deathbed, I'm never going to be able to do that. And James is like reassuring him that that's not going to really be, that he'll still be have a chance to do to do everything he wants. We find out that the human identity of Pestilence is actually a surgeon that Kara and the DEO were talking to at the beginning of an episode when the outbreak took place. And I mean, technically, the Legion does have a cure for the blight infection. They just don't have a cure for the strange disease caused by pestilence because, I guess because she's in like a different form, so so it's not it. So their cure doesn't account for you know that strain of the virus. So yeah, so Kara tries to talk try to like reason with Pestilence in her civilian identity in the same way she did it with Julia slash Purity, except in an interesting twist that Pestilence is very much self aware of either aware of her dual identity or is like, and maybe she doesn't have like a split personality thing going on, or she's kind of acknowledges she has a split personality, and they kind of like embraced it because I guess like her life as a surgeon has made her incredibly cynical, and basically killing people is her way of trying to stick it to like health insurance companies, and trying to help clients who need it, and likes the idea of being able to play God with people's lives, much to like horror shock, and it prompts. But the thing that's kind of stupid is that okay, Emra says that anything the DEO knows that she knows about, and it's like they're talking about it in front of Brainiac, so naturally she's like passing on the information to when the DEO is going to show up next, so she can like intercept them and get to their leads and possibly kill um, Pestilence, and Emma is able to get the cure, but she ultimately fails to kill Pestilence anyway because Julia shows up with Purity in full control, and they ended up like flying off, and Emra laments that the reason why she was so one reason why she was so determined to kill Pestilence was of the millions of people that the Blight killed, her sister was among the dead, which allows Kara to have more of a heart to heart with her and says that I would have done the same thing if something like that happened to Alex, and Ember saying that no she wouldn't, and admits that why I guess I kind of admits that why she feels that Kara is kind of like a better person than she is. Um, but eventually they're able to distribute the cure, but Lena was like experimenting with like giving like shock treatments to Sam just to try to like have her transform into Rain so they can isolate the enzyme that triggers that transformation and maybe get rid of Rain. And they kind of pull in some science where it's like every time she blacks out and she goes into this dreamlike state where she's in like a dark forest, they keep saying it's like, oh, she's being sent to like a her mind's being sent to a parallel dimension, which allows like Rain to take over, which doesn't exactly make sense. Doesn't exactly make sense to me. Um, I kind of just would have been like, it just seemed like they made it like needlessly complicated with the whole like. It's like they just don't do like their research on like multiple personalities disorders, and they don't need to make it a thing where it's like, oh, she's being sent to like a parallel dimension, and as it's like they're not even going that far with the Jekyll and Hyde thing dynamic that Caitlin and Killer Frost had on the Flash. So it's like, why do you need it? It just kind of makes it just makes the whole thing more ridiculous than it needs to be. But on that plane of existence, um, Sam and Rain are communicating, are talking with one another. Rain trying to tempt Sam to submit control of their body to Rain. If not, that she's gonna go after Ruby, and then because basically Monel, Emra, Kara, and Martian Manhunter are following the two world killers to L-Corp and presumably try to get to Rain. That's when they all find out from Lena that how she's been experimenting on Sam, and how they learned that Sam is Rain finally because the other two world killers come in, and apparently they seem to like modify each other's powers as being in each other's presence. But the one thing I thought was like one of the silliest things was the fact that I guess basically it's just use it is a thing where it's like all of a sudden like they're all three of them are hovering in midair, and just because of some like flash of light that um Rain when she takes control changes from the hospital garb that Sam was wearing into her Rain costume, which is like it all and it's like they really I don't know what the hell is it with the writers. They gotta stop drawing so much from like Silver Age stuff. It's like especially when we had a whole episode where Monel was Kara was spending time learning like freaking cape tricks, like, and they were treating you like it's like cape trick. It's like inherently silly and stupid. It's like just own it. Like don't like treat it like she's like learning some form of martial arts like Krav Maga or something. Is it's like they need to like take a page out of the other shows on Arrowverse, like do something like Legends of Tomorrow where they owe up to all those silly preposterous stuff, or just play up the capes tricks as something like um low key, like say on Arrow in season 3 where they did the boxing glove arrow where Oliver found the boxing glove. He put his he put his arrow on it. He fired it, and he knocked out Wildcat. And you played it up as very low key. Like if they just did the whole cape tricks thing as something that Kara just did like right on the spot in fight scenes, or something that Monel like sporadically did every now and then instead of treating it like some actual like some like big fighting technique, then it wouldn't keep taking me out of the episode. It just seems like why. But in any case, I don't think it was. I didn't. I mean, it was hard. I mean, it was a good episode. Not quite as good as say like last week's episode, but at least now like it's getting some traction. In terms of now everybody knows about Sam and Rain being one and the same, and the World Killers, and now it's interesting to see that Lena working together with the DEO and Supergirl to try to like work together and pool their resources and to try to stop the World Killers now that they've united, and it ups the ante a bit. But yeah, anyway, guys, what do you think of tonight's episode? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. If you like this video, like, share, and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.